to listen to the Lap Traffic Podcast.
What is up, Lap Traffic Nation? Welcome to episode 182 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. I am your host, the Professor Brandon Crowd, and we are just mere days away from going racing. Oh, I am so excited. I know you all are as well. Hope you all had a great weekend. Man, more of the same up here in Michigan. And you're going to hear me and Jeff and Aaron and Brian all talk about the nonsense that is Michigan weather. Cold and rainy up here this past weekend, mixed in with, of course, some happy hour Zooms, which have become the MO here on the weekends. Fortunately or unfortunately, I guess, depending on how you look at it, if you got to be stuck inside, it's a lot easier to do it when it's cold and rainy than when it's 70 and sunny. But, man, would really like to be able to get outside on a consistent basis. But it looks like things are on a positive upward swing here. It looks like we might be done after tonight or tomorrow with like the 40-degree lows and all that kind of stuff. So very, very excited about that. Might be able to shut the heat off here soon. I mean, I'd have had it off, but, the wife's got to have it on if it's, the wind blows and it's, dips below 50. So anyways, I digress. Lap Traffic Nation, we are finally going racing. Hopefully, we're going racing without further interruption for the rest of the season. And that means some exciting things for the show. The first is that tonight will hopefully be the last modified show in terms of the usual format. Next week's show will be back to normal as far as segments go. Tonight's show will have a condensed fantasy segment as next week back to normal with full fantasy. Don't forget to submit your picks. Hopefully get back to normal with the lucky dog picks as well. Get some more of your feedback in, race discussion, all that stuff. So very excited about a full show next week. This past weekend, virtual racing for the first time ever at the virtual North Wilkesboro Speedway. Can't wait to talk about that and kind of wrap up the whole iRacing and the Pro Invitational Series there a bit. Let's see here. Hope you guys enjoyed last week's double show. Tuesday, Thursday last week. Tuesday with Noah Gregson. Thursday bonus show with some Venturini Motorsports up-and-coming talent with Drew Dollar and Mason Diaz. Go check that out if you haven't already. And tonight, I am so excited. Jeff Striegle back on the show, along with a double feature weather segment with Brian Neudorff and Aaron Studwell. As I mentioned on the bonus show, the next 2 weeks are going to be an MRN radio feature of Striegle tonight. And next week, Alex Hayden will be making his debut on the show, which should be exciting. There is so much to talk about. The only kind of issues that I see going forward here as far as show and the segment is concerned is, the show gets posted and done for the most part between Monday and Tuesday. We're going to have an Xfinity race going on while I'm doing the show next week with Alex and all that good stuff. I think we're going to record during the day or something like that. That means the second Darlington Cup race discussion carries over to the following week with there's, depending on how that all goes and depending on the flow and all that, we'll see what gets talked about on what show and how much detail. But tonight, like I said, Jeff Striegle, Aaron Studwell, Brian Neudorff, never short on words. Lots to talk about. Broke this afternoon in terms of qualifying and competition. Lots to do. Lots to talk about. Let's get things rolling. Let's get Jeff Striegle on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line, making his second appearance of 2020 and his 10th overall appearance on the show. He's one of the voices that you hear on MRN Radio. He's become a staple and a fan favorite on the Lap Traffic Podcast. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Jeff Striegle. Sir, good evening. How are you, man?
I am good, Brandon, and I think you need to know this right up front. I'm going to do this interview sitting outside. Why? Because I can. And if you live in Michigan, like you and I,
yes,
you know exactly what I mean when I say that.
It's so funny you say that because I recorded the weather segment with Aaron Studwell and Brian Neudorff yesterday when it was 45 degrees outside. And yes, the sun is out. I just took a video. The Blue Angels flew over the house, which was really cool. So that must mean it's time to go back racing when you get a flyover.
Well, I think it is. We have waited long enough.
Yes.
You know, it's crazy because when we left Homestead to wrap up 2019, it was 92 days to get to the Daytona 500. By the time we go back to racing at Darlington on Sunday, we will have sat silent for 71 days. I mean, we've basically endured 2 off seasons here, you know, over the course of the last couple of months. It's crazy times. You know, I think everybody has done everything that they need to do to get us in this place, in this time. And NASCAR will be one of the very first to say, you know what, we're going to take a step forward and see how it goes, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, yes, sir. And we obviously will have a bunch to get into with all of that. But before we jump into the real business, how has the quarantine been for you? How's the family? What'd you guys do to occupy your time and all that stuff during this 72-day quarantine?
I'll answer in 3 words: awful, nothing, and good. How's it been going? It's awful.
Yeah.
You know that. We all know that. It's terrible. But we're doing what we have to do, right? And fortunately, on my side of the state over here, everybody is healthy and good.
Excellent.
What do we do? I mean, my gosh, what have you been doing? You know, I've done more yard work in the months of March and April and this first part of May than I typically do in a whole year's worth of time. We haven't had the best of weather here in the state of Michigan, although I see now, Brandon, that we go from winter, because it did snow here last week.
Yes, it did.
You know that.
Did.
We had snow. It was 29 degrees here this morning. So that gives you an indication. It gives the listeners an indication as to what it's like to be in the state of Michigan right now.
Yep.
But next week, I think Wednesday, they're saying 84 degrees. So we're going to go from winter to summer in a matter of about 6 days. I'm ready. From the
furnace to the air conditioner.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's really true. Yep. But, you know, I'm grateful that, you know, we're in the space and in the time that we are. You know, we've had to endure something that nobody could have ever, you know, imagined.
Yeah.
We've lost a lot of great people, and you know, that just I can't even put that into words. And now here we are, getting ready to take the next step, and it will come in the form of NASCAR. But I just want, you know, the biggest thing, the underwriting thing, is that we just do it right. And like I said, we take that first step and hopefully get back to what will become the new normal.
Yeah, that's the thing, new normal. That's for sure. How's the wife? Has she gotten used to the fact of you being home on the weekends over the last couple? She going nuts having you home?
She's ready for me to travel. I can tell you that. You know, fortunately or unfortunately, but I'm going to say fortunately, she is a essential worker, so she has been gone every day, and I don't see her, you know, just like normal for me. Sure. Other than being home on the weekends. But I'm looking forward to be gone on the weekends. That's kind of how I roll. That's how I live. That's how I'm wired, if you will.
Yep.
It's just not, you know, it's just not the same when you have to sit here for everybody. Everybody gets this, whether it's an 8 to 5er, a third shifter, somebody like us. We get up in the morning and we're ready to go. Yep. We're ready to do what we have been programmed to do. And when we can't do that and can't do anything, it just becomes difficult. So I'm sure that everybody feels the same way, and that is that we are all looking forward to getting back to some sense of normality.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Jeff. I'm glad we were able to make this work for tonight, because I don't know if you'll realize this or not, but the crazy thing. So tonight's show is episode 182. You were last on the show, episode 171, Tuesday, March 10th. You and I did that show. Talked about the West Coast swing and getting ready to go racing at Atlanta. This COVID thing didn't even come up in our discussion on March 10th. As far as we were concerned, we were going racing at Atlanta. 2 days go by and our NASCAR world and the world in general gets flipped upside down. So while there's been weeks in between, you and I haven't missed an actual race. We are, as far as I'm concerned, back-to-back weeks as far as racing here is concerned. So I was glad we were able to put this together just as from that note, just that we last talked after Atlanta, or getting ready to go to Atlanta, and here we are getting ready to go to Darlington.
Just goes to show you how quickly things can change. Nobody could have ever predicted that. I remember very much just having that conversation. I remember Alex Hayden, who, by the way, will be a guest on your show on the podcast coming up next week.
Very excited. Thank you for that, sir.
And
Thanks for that intro.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting because we're going to talk about what we think we're going to see.
Yep.
And Alex is going to talk about what he saw.
Yes.
And we'll be able to, kind of match up and go, boy, we missed that. We didn't see that coming, or how well they did that, or whatever. But the point is that, back in March, I remember very clearly that as we were driving, and I don't know if it was to the airport or if it was to the racetrack, but we had just begun to kind of have some conversation about this. And, how this could possibly affect us or affect you or affect, our country. Had no idea that it would ever blossom into what it has. Because I think at the time, right around the 1st of March, was when all the conversation was centered around, would they possibly cancel the Summer Olympics?
Right.
And, how big that would be, because the Summer Olympics are being held. Where were they being held? In Japan, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I do believe you are right there. Yep.
And of course they were going through it at that particular point, and we weren't, not to that degree.
Yep.
And then, of course, like you said, it's almost like we just took a chunk right out of the calendar. And like I mentioned before, it's like 71 days being hacked right out of the calendar. We're not done yet. But to your point, we could sit here and go, okay, so if we look back at, what we saw at Phoenix, how is that going to play into what's going to happen when we go to Darlington? Because that's really where we're at. We completed 4 races, and we're getting ready to go to, take the green flag for race number 5, minus the 2.5 months that we sat silent.
Yeah. No, and that's, and you mentioned and made the correlation at the start, basically having 2 off seasons, but, and it's, to me, and we can dive into this a little bit later too, is this is a much obviously more unique off season. They're prepared for that off season from mid-November to late January, February. They're on a time clock. They know when they're going to get back to the shop, when they're going to start working on cars, what cars to get ready for Daytona and the West Coast and all that kind of stuff. I think this is going to be a much more challenging overtaking here in terms of finding that rhythm and finding that groove with limited people at the track and the shop and firing back up here.
Well, you're exactly right. And the reason is simple. When we put the checkered flag out at Homestead and everybody goes home and we call it the off season, the guys in the shop go back to work on Monday.
Yeah.
And they start building race cars Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, through the weekend, week out, month in, month out, in preparation for Daytona. There is no off season for them. Sure, the drivers get a chance to unwind a little bit, but even they have obligations. Now we look at how we presented ourselves after Phoenix. We all went home and we never went back. If we use the guys at the Team Penske shop, when the word came that, it was time to shut everything down, you grabbed your lunchbox and you went home, and you didn't know when you were going to come back. You didn't come back the next day.
Yeah.
You weren't working on one of those Fords. And so everything is sat silent right up until, I guess it was, a week ago? I don't know now if it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago when we got the green light to send the teams back to work. And those cars were sitting there as they were when they last left them in March. That is the big difference. And now they will scramble and try to get those cars as good as they can, load them up, and race them at Darlington.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jeff, let's take a quick left turn detour here. before we get into the racing and all that, I want to get your take on, did you get into the iRacing? Did you watch it? Did you go out buy your own rig because you fell in love with it that much? Because that's what I kind of want to do. But I think Fox did an amazing job giving the fans something to take their minds off of it. I think Clint Boyer and Jeff Gordon need to be nominated for like an Emmy or something for, the entertainment value they provided us. The racing, you can't look at it from the racing quality and all that. It was a way to bring the NASCAR community, whether it's broadcast, driver, or the fan on the couch, together for 90 minutes, 2 hours on a Sunday during a difficult time. But what'd you think about the whole thing?
Well, I think you start with Fox and you award them the blue ribbon for even allowing the opportunity to listen to the idea. Then they implemented the idea. They had no idea whether anybody would even tune in or not. Well, it turned out they did. And like you said, give the Emmy to Jeff Gordon, who's just phenomenal. I mean, that's just a talented individual in so many different ways. For him to sit down next to the great Mike Joy, Regan Smith involved, Clint Boyer involved, the list is numerous. The fact that the guys wanted to race, that didn't surprise me. But the fact that Jeff and Mike and the rest of that team decided to come in and sit down in the studio and cover an iRacing event, I think was spectacular. And yes, I watched, I think I watched them all. I can't say that, I was ever on the edge of my seat.
Sure.
There were certainly some times where I laughed or I chuckled or I thought this is pretty darn cool. There were times when I found myself pulling for Timmy Hill. The underdog, the opportunity for some of these guys to really showcase some talent in a little different environment, I thought was pretty awesome. William Byron showed that he is a master when it comes to sim racing. So I liked it. I'm not disappointed that we're not going to be watching that again this Sunday.
Yep.
I'm ready to see Darlington for real rather than Darlington the way that it was put together. But I'll tell you the other thing. How about iRacing? Mm-hmm. And what they did and how they presented everything that they did. I mean, my gosh. So, and I don't know anything about it. All I know is there had to be a lot of work that went into all of that so that you and I and the rest of the racing community would have something to do on a weekend afternoon. So tip of the cap to everybody involved.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. All right, Jeff, you made mention that you're not making the trip to Darlington and that you're going to be able to kind of sit back, but I'm sure you'll still be at work in your mind. Do you know, can you kind of give everybody maybe like an inside look as to, how decisions were made, like how communication has been from NASCAR to MRN to you without getting yourself in trouble or anything like that?
Well, the word Zoom meeting, which I think we all know what that is now.
Yep.
I don't think I knew what that was in February, but I do know what it is today. If we start at the beginning, yes, I am not going to be in Darlington. I'm going to unfortunately have to miss a race that I think I probably wanted to attend more than any other race in my career. However, you have to be living in Charlotte in order to be able to pull off what NASCAR is going to pull off. So I understood that when I had that conversation that, I can't just go to the airport, get on a plane, fly to Darlington, do the race, get on a plane or a hotel and come home. That's not in the cards. That's not what NASCAR wants us to do.
Sure.
So I understood that. So I will become a fan. I'll be the biggest fan of the Motor Racing Network, and I'll be tuned in. Here's how this is going to work. There have been numerous conference calls, Brandon, back and forth from the folks at the Motor Racing Network, and I think your listeners are going to find this interesting. Normally, we would show up at a racetrack on a Thursday. We'd all go out to dinner. As you know, we'd go play Golden Tee golf. We'd get up and we'd go and practice and qualify, maybe run a race on Friday, turn around, do the same thing on Saturday after spending the night in the hotels, all of that kind of stuff before you fly home on Monday. We would have numerous at Truck, the Motor Racing Network Truck. We'd have numerous meetings there. That's our home away from home. We all congregate there. Okay, so that's how we used to live.
Yep.
The way that Alex, I'm going to use Alex as an example. He lives just outside of Charlotte. He's already been told, you will get up in the morning on Sunday, and this is true of the drivers, the teams, the transporters, everybody. You will get up on Sunday morning. You will drive to Darlington at a specific time. You will check in. At that time when you check in, you will be tested. Once you're cleared, you will go to your position. And if that means you've got to go to the MRN trailer to get your gear, then you go to the gear, you go get your gear, and you leave. And you go sit in your car or whatever, and you wait until it's time to go. That's going to be true for the guys in the trucks, with the trucks and the cars. When that race is over, you will be tested again, and you will be free to go home. You will drive straight home. We do not carpool. I talked to Alex this morning, and he said as much as he'd love to ride to and from the racetrack with other friends and members of MRN, he can't do it. So we'll have a dozen cars going up to Darlington, put on the race, get in your car, drive back home. We don't stay in hotels. We don't fly. We don't carpool. We don't do any of that stuff. So completely different.
And I assume that'll be the same case for the Xfinity race Tuesday, then back again for the Cup race on Wednesday.
Exactly.
Man, that is, and it's, it's a shame. It's different. It's, granted, I could imagine, after the amount of years you're doing this, like the hotel experience probably gets old, 20 weeks into the season, maybe like, oh man, I just like to drive and go home. And here that's what they're doing. And I bet everybody wishes it was the, old way of doing things at this point.
I think the best example that might help paint this picture is, let's take Kevin Harvick as an example. We all know that on Kevin Harvick's car, he's got, a dozen sponsors. We know that he's got one primary, whether it's Jimmy John's or Busch Beer, but there are other sponsors, as we know, on those cars, right?
Yep.
Typically on a race weekend, there would be at least one representative from that company on the property. So there's going to be a Busch Beer person, there's going to be this person, a Shell person, or that person, da-da-da-da-da. I mean, the list is endless.
Yep.
Along with their PR people, right? None of those people will be there.
Yes.
Not even a PR person. You will have 16 total members of that 4-car, including, and in that 16 is Kevin Harvick, Rodney Childers, Tim Fedewa, the spotter, a car chief, and the over-the-wall crew.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think if we go ahead,
I was going to say, I think it's so crazy to think of, no PR, we can tie into the media at this, no, limited photographer, you're not going to see Kevin Harvick walking through the garage with a PR guy trying to keep the 50 fans, trying to get his autograph. It's going to be such a ghost town with a skeleton crew for everything. The only thing I can relate it to is what that Monday race felt like at MIS last June. Like, it was skeleton crew of people from the track. Like, it was a much different experience than what was there Sunday afternoon.
Times 100, I think, Brandon, realistically. I just think that it's going to be something that we should all embrace and take in and respect and support. I hope we don't have to do this very long, but I applaud everyone who is willing to step up and do it, or we wouldn't have NASCAR on Sunday. So, it's going to be interesting. I know the gates are locked. I had somebody ask me on social the other day, we're planning on going to Charlotte and tailgating. Well, don't go to Charlotte. Don't go to Darlington. They're not going to let you in.
Yeah.
You're not even going to get in their parking lot. They don't, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but they don't want you there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not in a position to welcome the fans back, even though you're bringing a camper or an RV and you just want to set it up in in the outfield somewhere. You want to set it up in the parking lot, overflow area, whatever. They don't want you there because, heaven forbid we have 25 campers show up, and then there's 125, and then there's 1,000. Well, that's, if we're going to do that, we might as well open the gates.
Yeah.
And we're not ready to open the gates yet. So I think when people understand that and they realize that that's how we're going about business, that's how we have to go about our business. If we can do this right, think of the eyes that are on us.
Absolutely.
Brandon. Major League Baseball, you think they're watching? NBA, do you think they're watching? Everybody is watching. I'm not so sure that we won't have universities, schools, states. Everybody is going to be watching.
Yes.
How are they doing this? How successful is it? What hurdles did they have to overcome? Was there a challenge that they weren't able to overcome on this weekend that they're addressing for the next weekend? There's a lot of behind-the-scenes efforts going in to pull this off.
Yeah, the NASCAR is going to be the benchmark, and I was joking with some people on a Zoom happy hour that we did this past weekend, was that the sport that takes the most amount of people is the one that's going back first, and that's something that I think is a testament to the sport that they're not willing to step back. Hey, we got the green light. We'll be the leader. You guys come follow us, in terms of, the stick and ball sports, here. Yeah, we'll show you. We'll show you how to do it. Our fans are ready to watch us. We're ready to go back, and I'm excited.
I think that we have to applaud the leaders in NASCAR. Is this too early? Should we wait? Should we have gone back a month ago? NASCAR officials are not in this to fail. They're not in this to get a black eye. They're in this to succeed. They're in this to bring the competitors back on the racetrack and do it in a safe environment. And at some point, they'll bring fans back, etc. But I applaud them and I support them because I do believe that they will not do something that is premature. I feel like they probably got every I dotted and T crossed that they can in order to make sure that this is a success.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Jeff, let's talk a little bit about scheduling. And I know you don't have the crystal ball for NASCAR or anything like that, so we can kind of just have some fun here with it. We already know Chicago, Richmond, Sonoma have lost some dates. Who knows what the future is going to hold outside of Charlotte. That's all we know is Darlington and Charlotte right now. Obviously it doesn't look like the MIS June race is going to happen. Who knows if that'll play off into a double sometime later in the year, or one race or no races at MIS. We don't know that. NASCAR very well may just want to keep it local in terms of driving for the haulers, the teams, and all that, to keep people out of airports as much as possible. Like you kind of mentioned there in terms of why you're not going to be at Darlington this weekend. What could you maybe see happening in terms of the circuit, in terms of the tracks we go to for 2020?
Well, first of all, everything you said there, yes, 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 and yes. You're right on. Everything you said is very, very accurate. I would anticipate that a lot of this has been out on social, and most of it that I have read is fairly accurate based on what I'm hearing, and that is we need to stay, think of Charlotte as the hub, and we can go out, 4, 5, 6 hours, and we can find Atlanta, about the furthest track away from Charlotte. That's about 6 hours. And then you've got Bristol, you've got Martinsville, you've got Darlington and Charlotte. So I think without hesitation, that's where we start. That would get us into about mid-June. Now, I'm thinking this, Brandon, that by the time we wrap up in Darlington, we're going to have a pretty good idea as to whether this was a home run or whether we need to take a step back and evaluate something. So if we look at those 5 tracks that we just mentioned as the way to get back underway, I think we start there. Then, if everything looks good then I think we start branching out. I've heard Homestead as a possibility as early as mid-June. I have not heard Michigan in June. I think, to your point, I think Michigan is probably going to be pushed back to an August event. Now, whether they run it, Sunday, Wednesday, like they're doing in Darlington, I don't know. I would doubt it. I would think that if you're going to go to Michigan, you'd run a doubleheader, but I don't know that for a fact.
Sure. That's
just my own personal opinion. And then I think we, get off to Kansas, we get off to Watkins Glen, and we try to get the entire 26 races that make up regular season done so that we can start our championship, the 10 races that lead up to the championship on time and at the tracks that they're scheduled at, on the dates that they're scheduled at. I think that's the goal.
Absolutely. And I hope that's the case too. If they can, I think it would definitely be a tall tale order here if everybody had to run, double weekends and double races, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, whatever it may be, through the playoffs and all that kind of stuff. I think it helps create buzz as well if you're able to get back to that 10-race, 10-week shootout, so to speak, for the playoffs there.
Well, and I think we want to try to have as much fun as we can right now, right? Now granted, there's a lot of people out there that are holding tickets saying, am I going to be able to use my ticket at Michigan in August? Am I going to be able to get in to Watkins Glen? Obviously, at this particular point, nobody knows for sure.
Yeah.
And I hope that we can. I mean, I really, really do. I will miss not seeing a race fan at the track. That's just something that, that's just peanut butter and chocolate. They go together.
Yes.
And without the race fans, I hate it. But I also applaud where we're at this moment and how we're going about it. And hopefully we can have a little fun. And if all we get for the next 2 or 3 months or 4 months is racing on TV and on the radio, then I hope everybody can embrace that, support it, enjoy it. And there's going to be a time when we're going to be able to open those gates. What track it is and what date it is, I don't know. But I can't wait for that day, and I know you can't either.
Yeah. It might not. I had a couple tracks that I had planned on being at 3 races already this year, which obviously didn't happen. So yeah, whatever race that I might be able to get to go to might not have been one that was on the to-do list this year, but it might be now, just because, like you said, I want to get to a race and something, Jeff, that just kind of as you were saying that, in terms of when those gates are open, I think the very real possibility is we're not going to be able to, so to speak, have sellouts, if you will. That definitely,
right.
That whatever race gets the first date probably could sell out every seat just because of the fact of, hey, I get to say I was at the first race back. There's a draw for that. Same thing with baseball, same thing with concerts, like the first concert that is announced in your area, so to speak. I think gone are the day are the bragging rights of I sold out X amount of seats in Y minutes because we have to worry about social distancing now, So, if you have something that holds 100,000 people like Michigan Stadium, are we ever going to see 100,000 people at Michigan Stadium again? I hope so. I hope we can get back to that safe level, but, and the same for the tracks. Are we going to see, the sellout at ISM like we've had, or are we going to have to space things out when we let the fans back in, which is, I can already hear people on Twitter going, well, NASCAR's been practicing that for a while now because they haven't gotten anybody there. But, it's something that I was thinking about when you were just talking about that.
I'll give you one example. How would you like to be Clay Campbell, who is the president of the Martinsville Speedway and has for many, many years? Great facility, great racetrack. We love Martinsville, right? And everybody kept saying, put up lights, put in the lights, man. How cool would it be to watch the Cup cars on a Saturday night go at it on that half-mile racetrack?
Yeah.
All those things take a lot of money, right?
Yep.
Well, they invested that money, and they put that date on the schedule. coming up in, I guess it would have been, now I've lost track of time, coming up in May 2020 under the lights for the very first time ever at the Martinsville Speedway.
Yep.
And they sell out. And they did. They were sold out. They were ready to go. They were ready to showcase the Martinsville Speedway under the lights with home state driver Denny Hamlin going head-to-head with Keselowski and Kyle Busch. Ready to go. And all of a sudden, this hits, and we grind to a stop. And now we will race there, and we'll probably race under the lights. Nothing's been officially announced on Martinsville yet. Virginia, the state, has not opened up. But Clay Campbell knows that those lights will probably come on, but there won't be anybody there in the grandstands. And I think that we have a big misconception if we don't realize how important a fan is to a track president. I know we like to rip on them when we pay too much at the window for a hot dog or this or that. But I can tell you that Rick Brenner at Michigan and Michael Printup at Watkins Glen and Clay Campbell at Martinsville care more about the race fan than we care to think. And for those folks, they're going to get a race. They're going to get their money. They're going to get TV money.
Yep.
But when we see them after the race, I would not expect to see a gigantic smile on their face other than the fact that we got the race in. But when we do it, Brandon, without fans, isn't that what we do this for?
Yeah,
isn't that what?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I get it. It's a business. Of course, we're they're in it to make money. But so is a restaurant, and so is this, and so is manufacturing and all this. But they're going to hate it when they have to look at their track and see no fans.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's going to be interesting to watch. Noah Gregson was on last week, and I talked to him. I said, how weird is that going to be, racing? I said, I made the analogy of like the 11th man, the 12th man at Seattle, playing a key role for the defense. The fans are hard to hear on lap 100, but how's it going to feel to do a burnout if they even allow a burnout based on what the celebration has been limited from everything that I've seen. They may not even be able to celebrate. It might just be cross the checkered flag and run through tech and, give an air 5 to your crew chief and call it a day. But it's going to be weird for them to drive around that track without seeing people in the stands.
I know that Motor Racing Network will have Alex Hayden, Dave Moody in the booth, Dylan Welch, Steve Post in the turns, Kim Kuhn and Hannah Newhouse on pit road. For Fox, you've got Jeff Gordon and Mike Joy from a studio in Charlotte with Regan Smith as their only person on pit road. If you are going to get an interview with a driver, you will have to use a 6-foot boom microphone, and you won't have a PR person to work with. You'll have to, figure out how to do that on your own. Not that you can't,
right? Yeah.
But obviously it's a whole lot easier when the PR person's like, yeah, sure, I'll get you Kevin Harvick, stand by. So, it just goes back to what you were just talking about. It will be completely different, something new. And my hope is that everybody understands it and is willing to work with a broadcast team. I know that they're going to use drones on TV more so than they've ever used before. I think that footage is going to be spectacular.
Yeah.
TV can't typically use a drone because of the regulations that keep you from flying a drone over top of a full grandstand. So when the grandstands are empty, you can fly the drone. Different things that you're going to see, and I don't think we're going to experience it all unless we happen to be there and just can be the fly on the wall, if you will, and watch it all unfold.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. All right, Jeff. So going to Darlington, it's not our typical Labor Day Darlington. It's not throwback weekend, which I assume and I hope and I think they are still planning to do the throwback here at a later date. But we're going to Darlington. A lot of changes just from the car, the drivers, the team's perspective. If we hold all else constant, what are you most excited to see play out Sunday afternoon?
How well a team can prepare a race car to win when it has no opportunity to be on the track prior to the green flag. No practice, no qualifying. Take what you're given and make the best out of it. Doesn't mean we can't change it throughout the event. But, if Denny Hamlin gets in the race car at Darlington, goes down into turn number 1 and bangs the splitter on the asphalt in practice, he's on the radio going, guys, I'm taking it back in. Ride heights are wrong. Let's go to work on the right front of the car.
Yep.
When Denny Hamlin hauls it off into turn number 1 after they drop the green flag at 180 and hits the splitter on the ground, that car doesn't want to turn. Denny's going to have to ride it out, if you will, until he can get that car back on pit road and hope that the crew can make the right changes to make it where he might be able to win. Watching that, I think, is going to be extremely interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of guys that will miss it, and we'll see them fade through the field, and there'll be some guys that will hit it, and we'll see them come rocketing up through the field. So I'd be looking for something like that. That's probably intrigue number 1 that I have going into Sunday.
Well, I tell you, I think there's kind of it's going to be a green track, and I don't mind. I don't want to use the pun for that, but it's going to be an open notebook. I think a little bit to where maybe a Matt DiBenedetto, maybe a Ryan Preece, maybe someone that's a 15th to 22nd on back type finisher might have a little bit of an even playing field going out there without the practice. Like you mentioned, possible, anything could happen to anybody. And I wonder if that might be an opportunity, or I look forward to hopefully seeing someone, maybe not get the win, but maybe get a top 5 that they weren't ordinarily scheduled to get.
I think you can go ahead and chalk that up to the win as well. I agree with you 100%. Matt could come right out with the perfect car and go right to the front and lead them all.
Yep.
Kevin Harvick, who we think is going to go up front and lead them all, may find that car just was off some way or another, but they missed the setup. And even though he may be starting up front, we don't know how they're going to start yet. NASCAR hasn't released that. But let's assume that, Kevin Harvick, as an example, we expect to see him running up front all day long.
Yep.
But he doesn't, because something on that car wasn't quite set up right that they would have normally fixed in practice, and they won't have that luxury come Sunday.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. Jeff, I think you saw the poll that I put out on Twitter yesterday asking the fans what they thought was going to play a bigger role. Lack of practice, not being in rhythm, pit road. And the lack of practice is taking the lead so far at 45% of people thinking that's going to play a bigger role than pit road. I think pit road's going to be incredibly crucial come Sunday in terms of getting to pit road, not getting in the box too early, not speeding through, getting down to pit road speeds, hitting all the lug nuts. I think pit road is probably where the race is going to be won or lost.
Well, you had 4 options out there, if memory serves me correct, and I would have put a yes, very important. Yes, also very important. Yes, also very important. Every one of them is going to be unique and challenging in their own way.
Yep.
The fact that, and I also saw somebody that I think posted and said, why is this, this isn't unique. We do this all the time. Well, the fact of the matter is we don't. Only one time in the modern era have we ever raced where we did not practice and we did not qualify, and that was 2018 at Indy in September when we were monsoon down there, and the cars never got a chance to get on the racetrack until they dropped the green flag. That's the only time we've done this.
And they've raced either the week before, or so, they've been in rhythm. It hasn't been cold turkey 72 days and green flag. Here's the race.
Well, and add into that what you were just talking about, and we are going to Darlington. Darlington is not Michigan. Darlington is not Martinsville. Darlington is a unique, challenging track all on its own. It will eat the Goodyear tires up. The groove, as we all know, is right up against the outside wall. And if you get it right, your car is going to run like a rocket ship. If you get it wrong, you are just going to be out to lunch, and it will be a long day for sure. Now, like you said, what we're going to see on pit road probably going to be a little different than what we've seen in the past, but you're going to have to look close, because a lot of times when we bring a car onto pit road, the only major change today might be that they're going to drop a quarter pound of air pressure in the right rear or something very, very minuscule because they've had time to practice and they've got the car dialed in. I think we're going to see the return of the wrenches going in the back window where they're trying to dial the car in, making track bar changes, etc. So that would be something that I would be looking at when it comes to pit road. Who's making major, major changes and who's not? We're going to know who feels pretty good about their race car when all they do is take fuel and tires and get back onto the track. But I don't think that's going to be the case for everybody.
No, I'm with you there 100%. Jeff, this is going to be Matt Kenseth's debut in the ride, and we don't have to talk about, because it's an unfortunate situation across the whole board, so we can skip past what led to Matt Kenseth back in the ride, but
Right.
I'm excited that he's getting back into a ride. I don't think Matt was ready to be done. I think it was unforeseen situation that was out of his control. Matt Kenseth hasn't been in a Cup car in a minute, but he's no stranger to being in the car. He's done some Legends and other races like that last year. What do you think about Matt Kenseth? I mean, I give him as equal shot as anybody at this point, getting in a Chip Ganassi car. No one's raced in quite a while. Not to say he's going to go out and win, but I don't think he's going to finish 30th either.
Yeah, and I would say that there's a better opportunity for him to win it than there would be for him to finish 30th.
Yep.
The last time we raced at Darlington, and I get it, this makes no difference at all, but it's worth saying. The last time we raced in May at Darlington was 2013, and guess who the guy was that went to victory lane on that day?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Matt. So again, the stats are good, but that doesn't mean that's how it's going to play out on Sunday. You got a very good race car. The 42 car, we already know is good. We know that. That car comes out of Chip Ganassi stables. He is going to give Matt the absolute best piece of equipment they can. And then it's up to Matt to knock the rust off. And I think he does that during stage one of the race. I think that they approach the race by saying, let's keep this car, if we can, on the lead lap until we get through stage one. That'll give Matt the opportunity to get used to the car, us to get used to Matt. He's never worked with the crew chief. He's never worked with that spotter. He's never worked with that team. So, there's going to be a lot of learning that has to go on in a very short period of time. But you're also talking about Matt Kenseth, who has won a championship in a lot of races over his career. And I think we're going to see that old ride a bike scenario where, I haven't ridden a bike in 4 years, but if you roll one up in front of me, I can get on and go pedal, wherever I want to go.
Yes.
Matt's going to be just fine. Do I think he's going to win? Probably not. Would it surprise me if he did? Sure. But I also don't think it's out of the question that car, that team, and that driver don't have a very good day.
Absolutely. I love that. All right, Jeff, it wouldn't be a lap traffic Jeff Striegle conversation if
You're going to talk about Chevy right now, aren't you?
You knew it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fantastic. Yes, we got to talk Chevy just because that's what we do now. Chevy, decent start to the first 4 races of the year. I don't know you can make any correlations at this point based on, everything getting thrown out the window. Jimmy Johnson has shown some speed the first 4 races in. I think he's led even a couple laps already. He's announced that he is going to officially retire after this year. He's going to be hot and ready for a win. Where's Chevy at?
Knocking on the door. And that's a whole lot further along than what I've given him credit for maybe the last 2 or 3 or 4 years. Chevy is back. There's no debate about that. Chase Elliott will be a factor. Matt will be a factor. Jimmy's going to be a factor. We already know that Alex Bowman is capable of winning. He's already done it. I think they're back. What do I expect come Sunday? I don't know. But I don't know that I could say that about Ford or even Toyota. We know that Toyota has struggled, not to switch gears here.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Or manufacturers, but Toyota hasn't been that good. The first 4 races, other than Denny's Daytona 500 win, what are they bragging about? Nothing.
Yep.
So, but we're also going to Darlington where they typically dominate. I'm interested to see what Joe Gibbs Toyotas do. Equally as much, I'm interested to see whether the Chevy camp can pick up where they left off in Phoenix and be factors. I think, you and I have talked about this off air when you and I chat, that if circumstances were different during the races, and I'm talking about a flat tire or a lug nut or a this or a that, you might see Chevrolet having won 2 or 3 or 4 times. The cars are that good.
Yes.
So they've come a long way. Credit hard work by those teams and those organizations to rebound and get back to where everybody wants to see them, and that's at the front of the field, contending for a win with Ford and Toyota.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm with you. They're looking strong, or they looked strong. Let's see if time off helps or hurts. But we'll find out that on Sunday. Jeff, what's going on with racing awareness? Local tracks have been impacted. Berlin Raceway. What's going on with all that?
Well, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna use Berlin Raceway only as an example. And I was thinking about this morning. There's going to come a time when the state that you're listening to this podcast in opens up. Some of them already have, and those local tracks are going to say we are now open for business. And I would hope that all of us, when we have the opportunity, will get out and go to that local short track, whether that's here in the state of Michigan or Texas or California, doesn't matter, because they're not going to be around in 2021 if we don't. I can't imagine what it must be like right now to be a promoter when you only have 20, 30 weekends a year, one day, right? Whether it's a Friday night or a Saturday, you've only got 20 of those or 30 of those, depending on what state you happen to be in, to make enough money to pay the bills and keep that track open.
Yep.
We're going to lose a lot of good racetracks, a lot of good short tracks around this country if we don't embrace that track when we do finally open. Now, here in the state of Michigan, we can't open Berlin or any other racetrack until, we repeal the state order that we can't, gather.
Yep.
So Berlin is closed. Kalamazoo Speedway is closed. Lansing and Flat Rock and some of the great tracks in the state of Michigan are all shut down, waiting. Obviously, they are not in a situation where they can do what NASCAR is doing and race for TV money. There is no such thing as that. They need the fan in the back gate buying a hot dog, buying a beer, and sitting in the grandstand. So, when we talk about Berlin as an example, my hope is that it comes sooner than later, because every Saturday that goes by that these tracks aren't open, they're just losing more and more money. The bills are still coming in, gas, electric, employees, rent or mortgage, whatever it might be.
Yep.
So, and your other question, I'll just touch on this briefly. Racing Awareness, the charity that I support, we closed that down after 10 years a year ago. But here's what's interesting. We wrapped up Racing Awareness. We raised $600,000 for Helen DeVos Children's Hospital here in West Michigan over that time. And the last event that we had was our annual golf outing. Now, part of the auction items that I was able to offer those in attendance were tickets and packages to Michigan, to Watkins Glen, to Chicago, to Darlington, to Kansas, to Martinsville. These folks, and this is where I hate it, and I'm working with them, but, these people paid as much as $7,000 to get a cool ticket package and hotel experience. One of them, Brandon, was to go to Martinsville to see the races under the lights.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, man.
It's not happening that way. So, it's crazy, and it affects each of us in a different way. And that's just something that I've had to work with these folks on, holding their packages, working with the tracks. They respect it. They understand what's going on. And hopefully everybody, whether they happen to have bid on a ticket package or whether they're season ticket holders, everybody will be in the grandstand sooner or later.
Absolutely. Oh, that's crazy, man. But what an awesome accomplishment. $600,000 to the DeVos charity and organization there. That's incredible, man. That's awesome.
Well, we're going to try to keep doing some things, maybe not on the same platform that we have in the past, but it has been so rewarding for me and the people that have supported me in this ongoing effort. This pandemic, we don't know when it's going to go away or if it's going to go away. But when we talk about childhood cancer, we know right now it's not going away.
Yep.
And so the more we can all do to help that, whether it's here in the West Michigan area or Charlotte or wherever people might be listening, if we can support those kind of charities, all the better.
Absolutely. Jeff, where can everybody follow you on social media?
At Jeff Striegle on social.
Excellent. Yes,
anything. Yeah. On all of them.
Yes.
On all the platforms. I'm going to have fun. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it yet, Brandon, but I hate being a race fan because I'm just not good at it. I want to be doing what I get paid to do. My passion is auto racing. My passion is to be in the broadcast booth alongside Alex Hayden and Rusty Wallace and being able to deliver what we see back to the fan. I can't do it, unfortunately, right now, so I've got to be a fan.
Yep.
And I'm going to be. I haven't decided if I'm going to sit and watch the race and listen to my brothers and sisters with MRN and just start tweeting and trying to gauge what fans are experiencing, good, bad, or otherwise. So you can look for me to be out on Twitter, I would imagine, on Sunday and seeing what everybody is thinking and feeling. And, I don't want to get into rating the race because I don't care what the race is. I'm going to give it a 10.
Yep.
Simply because we are back at it, Brandon, and that's what we have all been waiting for. And I think we can all support that.
100%. Yes, sir. Lap Traffic Nation, huge thanks to Jeff Striegle from MRN for calling into the show tonight. Jeff, man, thank you so much, as always, for the incredible amount of time, the passion that you bring to the discussions that we've had here 10 times now, and look forward to talking to you soon, man.
Well, let me do a shameless plug for you for next week. You've got Alex Hayden lined up. Alex is my partner typically in the broadcast booth. Alex will be there in the booth calling the race for the Motor Racing Network alongside kind of taking my spot for the weekend. And I love the fact that he's doing it. He's a good friend, and that's Dave Moody. So when you have the opportunity to listen to the podcast next week, you're going to hear Alex Hayden joining you, Brandon.
Yes.
And we talked a lot about what we think might happen. All right. It's all speculation. Next week, you and Alex are going to break it all down and talk about what worked well, maybe what challenges they've had to overcome, what we can look forward to in the future. So I'm really, really interested in hearing that conversation you have with Alex. And like always, when I wrap up, I just want to say thank you for all the hard work that you do. It's people like you that keep the sport top of mind awareness. There's always a place to go to listen to interviews. Like you said, you had Noah on last week. You've got a great lineup. You do a great job, and I appreciate it.
I appreciate that, brother. Jeff, man, we'll talk to you soon.
You got it, Brandon. Take care, and I'm looking forward to Sunday. I know you are as well. So thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Lap Traffic Nation, how awesome is Jeff Striegle? I mean, he is just one of the coolest guys I have gotten to meet with the podcast. Just so down to earth, loves to talk, happy to come on at any time, happy to give up 55 minutes of his day. And, he had already done some radio interviews and stuff like that. So just awesome. So glad that I've gotten to know him and develop a friendship with him even outside of the show, which is just absolutely incredible. So grateful for the time that he gives to the podcast, and just awesome to talk to. It's not an interview when he's on. That is, we've said it before. It's just two guys talking racing, and it's just absolutely awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed that there, and excited to get Alex Hayden on for the first time next week and recap at least what happened on Sunday's Cup race at Darlington. So, all right, let's press on. Let's talk a little NASCAR Pro Invitational Series here. All right, well, the Pro Invitational Series is over, and it ended much like it started with Denny Hamlin picking up the win. First off, just absolutely awesome to see North Wilkesboro on the screen. The detail that iRacing is able to capture, from like the shack stands in the corners to the paint missing on the wall. I really wonder what it costs iRacing to do a digital scan and develop a new track for the iRacing program, because that's just so incredibly awesome that they were able to do that. My wish of Junior or Gordon winning this thing didn't happen, but it was cool to see a few breakaways during the race with Ray Evernham. That was awesome. Always awesome to see Gordon and Boyer. Man, they just deliver some quality entertainment. I think we're going to miss that when those guys are actually, well, Gordon will be in the booth and Boyer will be in the car, but I hope Gordon gets to do a few interviews with Boyer while he's in the car. It's for me, this was come for the iRace, stay for Gordon and Boyer, and I think someone needs to make that shirt, the front saying come for the iRace with like a caricature of Gordon and Boyer on the back. I would buy that for sure. So much good came from this, in my opinion, and I'm not talking about Denny Hamlin's win per se, but the series itself. The series helped keep NASCAR relevant during the shutdown, gave fans a mental break for a couple hours. It helped get some young guys some TV time, Garrett Smithley, Timmy Hill, also some retired and veteran names like Bobby Labonte and John Wood got in the mix, which is awesome. And I tell you, I think it would be cool, like during All-Star Race weekend next year, if they ran an iRace on the Roval, all three series at the same time, 10 guys run a truck, 10 Xfinity, 10 Cup, something like that. Maybe the night before you do that, you let Bobby Labonte, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Smoke, run a quick short Legends race or something like that. Now that we're going back real racing, I think you could use iRacing for special events. Like I said, it's like a Legends race or something like that on All-Star Weekend, or maybe before the 500. I think people might tune in for something like that. You can't do it every week or it loses its luster and attraction. It's like the ladder match or cage match in wrestling. You overdo it, the build won't be there. But I think that there could still be an attraction for iRacing on TV down the road if used correctly. Obviously, not every week or anything like that. But that's my 2 cents. And the best thing is, we're going racing this weekend. I put a thing out on Twitter last night just to kind of see where you guys were at. What will impact Darlington the most? And I put it out there with 4 options to choose from and looked for some of your comments. Pit road penalties, lack of practice, lack of qualifying, time off, not in rhythm. And here's what you guys had to say. All right, so the votes in 16% for pit road penalties, 46% lack of practice, 2% lack of qualifying, and 36% for time off and not in rhythm there. I agree with everything there. I kind of thought the lack of qualifying wasn't going to draw too much attention there, nor do I think it will myself, but I'm surprised pit road penalties, only 16% of the vote came in as that having a big impact there. Nice turnout on the votes, by the way. Very nice. Thank you to everyone that voted on that. And here's some of your comments. Big Daddy at W Whitehead 88. I think it will be one of the wildest races we've seen in a long time. I can't disagree with that. It's Darlington. It's an older surface. It's crazy for the Southern 500, and now we don't have any practice or anything like that. I think we're in for a treat on Sunday. Bobby at Rmeyer 6213. I think it's going to be fascinating to see who can roll off the truck with a car ready to go. Maybe it will be the great equalizer. If your car sucks, you'll have to spend more time on pit road trying to fix it. Yes, sir. Fire Mark Murphy at GBP 43. People act like they've never ran a race without practice before. It's happened before. It's rained out all Friday. It's Saturday activity at the racetrack, and they've raced with no practice. I get what you're saying, but like Jeff said a little bit ago, they've also raced the prior week. It's not like Daytona's ever gotten fully rained out to where they didn't get out on the track, at least for a little bit. we're, as Jeff said, I think going to be 72 days with zero on-track activity. No clash for everyone to get some practice of real race pit road stuff there. I definitely think this is going to maybe play a little bit more of a role with them not being out on the track. It's basically been an extra off season with guys not being able to work the shop and all that kind of stuff. So I get it. And yeah, race weekends have been washed out a little bit, or, limited practice and that kind of stuff, but I think this is definitely more of a unique situation for sure. Racing Cants, pit road penalties, toughest pit road to get onto, plus the rust of not looking at the tack for 2 months. That's a good one there, that's where I wonder if the iRacing will come into play, with having to get down to pit road speed. At least they got a little practice with the pedals and shifters and all that kind of stuff there. And Matt at Camper News, I see a lot of mistakes with pit road since we've not been racing for 2 months. Absolutely. Agree with that. Thanks for the comments, guys, and can't wait to get more of your interaction and feedback as we go back racing here for sure. All right. Couple things broke late this afternoon regarding qualifying order and competition cautions. So I'm really just going to focus here on the starting lineup selections, because I think that's the critical piece. I think that's the unique piece and fun piece behind all of this. So, and this is based on owners' points, which is critical here because of a unique situation that puts somebody in possibly here. So for Sunday's race, if you are currently 1st through 12th in owners' points, random drawing for the pole and the starting position for the first 12. That means, based on how I interpret that, the 42 is currently 7th in owners' points, which means Matt Kenseth has an equal shot of being on the pole Sunday, as does Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Bowman, Johnson, all those guys. So that's very unique in how they did that. It's not just random. It's, they're kind of grouping the possibility of where you're going to start, which I think that is 100% fair. I absolutely love that. If you've raced well the first few races, you should have a better shot in qualifying position there. So I absolutely love that. 1 through 12, 13 through 24, and so on. And so that's how they're determining the starting lineup on Sunday. And then I absolutely love how they're determining the starting lineup for Wednesday's Cup race. If you win on Sunday, you're going to start 20th on Wednesday, and kind of refill that reverse snake order there, 1 through 20, and then invert 21st on back through 40th. I also love that they've opened the field a little bit here for some couple extra cars in all three series. If that opens the door to let someone that probably wouldn't have made the race come and race if they want to and have the means to do so. I think that's fantastic. I definitely look forward to seeing how that plays out with not so much I like the concept of how they're determining the starting order, but I'm also very curious to see if that plays a role when we go back on Sunday. And I'm also very excited here with how they're going to do it for Charlotte as well. I like the fact that we're actually going to qualify for the 600. I think that's good. It's a key race. It's one of the crown jewels of NASCAR. I think it should have qualifying. And I like the fact that they are going to keep qualifying for Cup at least. For the 600 there. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. I love what they've done with that. Again, I'm sure a lot of the bigwigs at NASCAR have had a lot of sleepless nights, and I'm excited, and I think things are going to go great. As Jeff mentioned a little bit ago, there might be some hiccups that they got to smooth out. No one's ever done this. NASCAR's kind of taken the ball here and saying, yep, we'll be first. So if there are some hiccups in TV and the broadcast, whatever, just keep in mind, it's a skeleton crew that's going to be out there. No one's going to be, even though the teams are going to be there, they're there in a different format. They're, the PR aren't going to be there. You're not going to have the representatives from the sponsors, like Jeff had said there. It's going to be a much different environment from what these guys are all used to. So hopefully, though, once the green flag drops, everything will be to normal. and I look forward to talking with you guys on Twitter. Get PETM involved and all that good stuff as well. So I can't wait for the Green Flag Sunday about 3:30 or so there. All right. That's going to do it there. Let's get to a little new and improved social media. All right, so I mentioned it last week, new and improved here a little bit. The usual, of course. Make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. Like on Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast. Instagram, The Lap Traffic Podcast. As always on Twitter, @LapTrafficPC. Some new things, though, to social media. TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok. Same as Twitter. Go give a follow @LapTrafficPC. I'm posting some videos, Instagram or audiograms and all that kind of stuff up there. So go check that out. Have some fun with that. YouTube. The Lap Traffic Podcast is now officially on YouTube. The Lap Traffic Podcast. Everything's pretty uniform. Same thing across the board. So here's what's going on with YouTube. I've put every show from 2020 up on YouTube. Took a couple days, actually. But all of 2020 shows are up there. I didn't think it made sense to go back any further. And each show going forward will go on there. Just in case you're not a fan of, the podcast apps or anything like that. If you're old school and want to dial it up through YouTube, that's there. Also going to use YouTube for the giveaways, and who knows, maybe every once in a while pop up on there live, and who knows, we'll have some fun with it. Also, new, you've probably seen some of them float around on Twitter, audiograms. There's one up there tonight with Jeff Striegle. There's one up there with Aaron Studwell and Brian Neudorff. Just some kind of teaser clips just to give you a preview of what you can expect from the guests and the usual show, and give you a teaser without having to go to the app. But hopefully you'll hear that and want to go and check out the show. So we'll have some fun with that. Giveaways, the t-shirt hat giveaway at 4,500, 10 followers away from 4,300. So just 210 away from giving that away. And I want to give away this rear quarter panel because I'd like to add some new stuff. So hopefully going to be able to get to 5,000 followers here soon. So keep the retweets and all that good stuff. Thank you to everyone that has continued to do that. Some new follower shout outs, Alpha Demand @AlphaDemand, a big Jeff Gordon and Chase Elliott fan. Welcome to the show. Jeremy Gauch @J_Doush90, a racer from Ohio and an OSU fan. Well, I mean, we all can't be perfect. Go Blue. Just kidding. Welcome to the show. Eugene Husky @eHusky86 from Maryland. And Bob @Simon_Bob, a NASCAR and country music fan from Indiana. Welcome to the show, guys. Hope you enjoy it. Stickers, koozies, the store, all that good stuff is out there. And let's see. I think that's going to do it for the little improved social media segment there. Let's get Mr. Aaron Studwell and Brian Neudorff on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, I am so excited. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Joining me on the line are both Lap Traffic meteorologists. You can follow them both on Twitter. The first, Brian Neudorff @NASCAR_WXMAN, and the second, Aaron Studwell @RaceWeather. We are going back racing, so it makes sense to have them both on. Gentlemen, good evening. How are you?
Welcome to the start of the 2020 season.
Yes, in May.
Yeah.
Mid-May.
But because we had this large hiatus, we're giving you winter feeling there in Michigan, so you can feel like you're watching the first race of the season.
My God, it's 45 effing degrees up here.
It's cold down here too in Louisville. So
my God.
Here I thought the F stood for Fahrenheit. Go ahead.
Good Lord. Like, it has been, I mean, with like mid-March, we got like a Saturday of 70. April, we got 1 or 2. And then 2 weeks ago, opening, I think the first weekend of May, it was nice. But I'm telling you, it's been 40. Like 2 days ago, it was snow flurry. And like there was accumulations on my truck. Well, I am so over that. But I told
Did you go write your name on it or make a little snowball?
Exactly. Yes.
Did you pee your name in the snow? That's the question.
No. From what I'm told, the homeowners association frowns upon that kind of behavior. So
Well, after a few beers, who cares, right?
Yes. There is a hangover reference quote that if I'm motivated enough might play over that, but
Please.
But yeah, so but fortunately though, like I think Wednesday is supposed to be like the end of it to where it's supposed to rain a little bit, but I think the lows are finally going to hit the 60s and the highs are going to be 70s. So I think midweek.
Yes, you're looking good going into the weekend. You're actually going to see 70s.
Yes. The bummer is that it's supposed to rain, and I have a buddy coming over to help do some landscape work, which is going to suck. But hey, at least at least I can shut the heat off, I think, for good after Wednesday.
Well, that'd be a good thing. Then you'll be
the goal.
putting on the AC. You'll be putting on the AC right after Memorial Day.
That's the thing.
That's spring in Michigan. Yeah.
There's no like just enjoy the windows open for a month. It's, shut the heat off, crank the AC up, and run them both 12 months of the year. Like it's brutal. Smith.
Well, I still remember. I can't. It was the closest finish, but I remember the Indy 500 that was really effing cold. Was that closest finish between Al Unser Jr. and Goodyear? My goodness, I was at that race. That one was freaking cold. So it is possible.
That's like the June race last year at MIS after the rain thing, and I went back Monday. I literally had a jacket on, and I've never had to wear a jacket to MIS. Like it's been crazy.
I was out in Vegas in March and had a coat and hat on, and like, what in the world did I sign up for?
Yep. All right. Well, gentlemen, we've got a lot to talk about. So let's get right into the weather because we're going to have some fun with the two of you and take advantage of you both being on at the same time. So who wants to start? What's the general weather like? Like under normal circumstances, Farmer's Almanac, what should we be expecting for this, week-ish of Darlington racing?
The normal high for Darlington this upcoming weekend is 84 with the normal low of 60. Generally, you kind of spread it all out like even peanut butter across a piece of bread. It's 0.1 inches of rain per day, so you never see it like that. But there's we start getting these last ditch cold fronts kind of swinging across the area or stalling out, so we do have a chance of showers. And then if it gets warm like it's going to, you can actually see afternoon showers and thunderstorms kick off. And, it's kind of what we're looking for, looking ahead, but kind of that's a normal pattern for the mid-May rate time frame. All
right. Well, so that's what we can generally expect. What are we actually going to get? Now, here's the thing. So, all right, we're recording Monday. The race is Sunday. We're racing Tuesday, Wednesday into the following week. It'll probably make more sense for whoever is on next week to talk about the Tuesday, Wednesday Xfinity Cup race before we even talk about Charlotte. So it is some future predicting here, but what are we looking at weather-wise for the Cup race on Sunday?
Well, that's my assignment since it's this. So I'm looking at the question, and Aaron and I were talking before we came on. There's a system trying to form off the coast, out over near the Bahamas, so kind of a tropical nature system. What did you call it there, Aaron?
A spinny model cane.
Model cane, yeah. There's something out there. At this point, it looks good. I'd say if I had this is early, so I'm going to go more pessimistic. Anytime I have to go early, I'm going to lean more on the lower side of things, only because of the fact that it could change. 75% odds of racing, only because depends on what this system does. That's always the wild card when you got a system out there, very reminiscent of, the Daytona that ran on that Monday night. It was a good forecast early in the week, and then something formed in the Gulf, and then that whole system and everything just kind of played out. So you never want to trust these things this early out to know exactly what's going to happen. But obviously, at this point, I don't think anybody is going to care. And before you at me, I looked at all the weather apps already. They're calling for it to be dry as well.
Just don't at me.
Hey, can I at you?
Actually, no, you can't. No,
okay.
As long as it's a screen grab, okay, of your routing
as long as you
can you
account. Yes, my social security number. And as long as you send me a picture of a cookie back.
Yeah, it's in I did that once. So I asked someone, "Do you want to?"
I know you have.
No, but I looked at them all just so you. And then right now I look at the apps mostly because Mostly because I want to know what people are going to be sending me. So at this point, everything looks good. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm glad we're going to get ready to go back racing. Obviously, at this point, weather's not necessarily for fans to prepare for, but it's going to be hot. It looks like temperatures are going to could be in the upper 80s, maybe near 90, just depending on what you're looking at. But at this point, it does look warm. It looks, I wouldn't call it maybe humid for this time of year, but in low 60s in that area this time of year doesn't seem, oppressively humid, but it's definitely going to be a much warmer pattern. High pressure is trying to win out this week, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that that's the case as we go into this, at least on Sunday.
Excellent. You know what you should do? You should take and screenshot like all the apps and put them into a photo collage and use that as the picture when you tweet that out and be like, don't at me. I've seen it all. Here's the intellect and what it actually is. And maybe that'll save people some breath and troll tweets towards you.
I'm just going to treat it. That's what I should treat it like Facebook and put like different apps and then letters and say, 3 of them have to go.
And make sure you use the Doge weather one too.
Doge weather one.
Yeah. Okay. Go look up Doge weather later.
Oh, is that one that?
The dog.
Oh, okay. Was it the one? What's the one that like swears at you or something like that?
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
It says it's bleep. It's like if you live in Michigan, it says, "Why the bleep do you live here?" So
I can get behind
that's
that.
all the time now, but yeah.
Aaron,
look around you. It's a beautiful peninsula.
Aaron, it's a little hard to predict, but if you had to, how are Tuesday and Wednesday looking going into the second set of races here at Darlington?
Tuesday, I'm going to go variably cloudy skies with a slight chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. With a 7:30 start, I think you'll be fine. Maybe you can delay it a little bit if we need to for drying conditions. But it's just slight chance. It's out there. So high temperatures, upper 80s, low temperatures in the mid 60s. And then for the Wednesday Cup race, fair skies. As Brian said earlier, high pressure system going to win out that day, if not on Tuesday as well. So, but definitely Wednesday, fair skies, high near 90, overnight low, morning low 62. So both Tuesday and Wednesday, we're looking for temperatures in the mid to upper 70s at race time with the night racing.
Excellent. All right.
And the big thing too.
Yes, go ahead.
Real quick, the one thing I'm curious about, because obviously, when NASCAR makes their decisions to postpone or wait things out, they're thinking about all the obviously they're thinking TV, but then they're also thinking fans. With that limited aspect, and I understand TV will still be in this situation, but let's say we do have a situation where we have to wait out weather. We were talking too that it'd be nicer if the start time on Sunday was maybe a little earlier, but just preparing for just different things, but that should be interesting to see. There's a lot of questions now going into this new COVID NASCAR season.
Absolutely, yeah, no, for sure. At least a TV, but they've cut back in and interrupted TV at 10 o'clock at night. So with no fans and the crew already going to be there for a few days, anyways. Something tells me they're going to hopefully get racing in. That's the outlook I'm trying to take on all this. So
yeah, I think you're right, and especially with these Tuesday and Wednesday races, they're both FS1, I believe.
Yep.
So they're going to be a lot more flexible on when they can end. So they can start at 7. I think one's at 7:30, one's at 8 Eastern. So they'll be more flexible in saying, hey, we can just go and we got lights and we don't have to worry about fans or concessions or anything or people leaving the parking lot. Just we'll wait it out.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there.
Sunday is a 3:30 start. Again, same situation with Fox. You can there's nothing else opposite it right now. You can push it to FS1 if they get to a situation where they need to push it late.
Sure. All right, guys, since you're both on, things are hopefully getting back to normal here with the show format as well, which includes the Lap Traffic Fantasy League, and I'm very excited to kick things off with that. And I thought let's have some fun here. You guys are both playing in the league this year in the Lap Traffic Fantasy Meteorologist head-to-head battle, 4 races in. You guys each have 2 wins apiece over the other. So let's switch things up a bit. Let's get your picks for the Darlington race week. Brian, right now you are in 22nd place in the league with 332 points. Aaron, not the same play as last year. You're currently in 36 with 290, but I'm going to say
I started weak last year and came on strong.
Yes, you did. But I will say this, anything can happen. Brian, you're only 65 points out of first. I'm assuming there's probably going to be a few people might forget to submit picks and all that, so I expect to see a lot of movement over these first few weeks back. Brian, since you're leading over Aaron, we will start with you. Who is your cup pick for Sunday?
Well, I'm not sure if iRacing translates to actual racing, but there's been racing and simulation. It's not a video game. I've been told that numerous times on Twitter. It's not a video game. I'm going to take the guy who looks like who started it and then ended it strong, who's got some momentum. Let's go with Denny Hamlin.
That is a solid pick there. I like that, sir. Aaron, who is your cup pick for the Sunday race at Darlington?
Oh, independent of that guy, I'm picking Hamlin as well.
Oh, all right. So far, no changes. All right. Let's move over to the Tuesday Xfinity race. Brian, who is your pick for that?
I'm looking at Austin Cindric for that race.
It's a solid pick there, sir. I like that. That might even be my pick. I haven't solidified mine yet, but that might be mine as well. Aaron, who is your pick for the Xfinity race?
So now I'll be different. I'm taking Chase Briscoe.
Briscoe, nice pick going forward there. I like that. And then over to the second Cup race at Darlington. Brian, who do you got?
I decided I would grab for straws here. He's a past winner, and I thought, why not? Let's go crazy. I'm going Kenseth.
I love that pick. I think there's going to be a few people in the league as well go for that. Why not? Everyone's been off. It's pretty much an equal playing field at this point in time. I really like that pick. Aaron, who do you got for the second Cup race at Darlington?
Well, I would never think Eric Jones is a safe pick, but I'm going to take Eric Jones.
I like that. I mean, hey, he picked up the Darlington win last year, September. I like that pick. I like that a lot. I am very excited to see who comes out ahead and breaks the tiebreaker that's been 2 months in the making here in terms of your head-to-head battle. Lap Traffic Nation, so excited to get things back to normal here. So excited to get the updates on Twitter from Brian and Aaron as well. Gentlemen, thanks for calling in over these last couple weeks just to basically shoot the shit, we'll call it, and have some fun while we waited for things to go back racing. Excited to get your forecasts as we go forward here. Everybody, make sure you follow Aaron on Twitter at RaceWeather and Brian at NASCAR_WXMAN. Gentlemen, great to talk with you, and look forward to talking to you guys here soon.
Sounds good. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, we'll see you guys. Oh, Lap Traffic Nation, always great to catch up both with Aaron Studwell and Brian Neudorff there. Great to have them both on the show. All right, it is time for this week's Lucky Dog and Lap Down segment. And listen, I cannot wait for next week because I am 100% confident that there's going to be an influx of tweets from you guys next week. You guys know the drill. Send your Lucky Dog Lap Down picks after the race. And we'll do it for Sunday. And if you can get them in, we're going to have to cut it down to just Sunday's race next week because I'll be doing the show during Tuesday. So make sure you get your picks in for that. And of course, you can call the Wave Around hotline, 248-965-9538. Leave your picks there. My Lucky Dog is iRacing. They deserve a ton of props. So thank you, iRacing, for everything you've given us over the last few weeks. My lap down is Michigan weather, but hopefully that's on the turn there. And let's get to, Eddie at Eddie_EG3's Lucky Dog, Dale Jr. We've got to thank him and the crew that came out to North Wilkesboro to clean up the track and allowing iRacing to scan it. Turned out wonderful. Lap down, NASCAR. Got to wonder if they would have kept up good maintenance on North Wilkesboro. Would it still exist? Good there. Good call there. I absolutely like that. All right, let's get to some calls on the Wave Around hotline.
Hi, Brandon. It's Matt at Camper News. this weekend, today with the finale of the Pro Invitational race at North Wilkesboro. Absolutely incredible, hats off to Dale Jr., iRacing, who really pulled this whole thing off starting last year, scanning North Wilkesboro, cleaning it up and everything, and making this happen. Absolutely incredible to see the footage and the racing, back in North Wilkesboro. It absolutely was really enjoyable for this finale of the Pro Invitational Series today. I absolutely enjoyed it. And anyway, with that, I got 3 lucky dogs this week. First, of course, as I mentioned, Dale Jr. and iRacing, who pulled this whole thing off with making North Wilkesboro happen starting last year, scanning, cleaning up North Wilkesboro to be able for this to happen. Absolutely hats off to them. The finale of the Pro Invitational Series, it could have been any better than this, honestly. I think this was absolutely an incredible, way to cap this whole series off with racing at North Wilkesboro, first time since 1996. Although it's virtually, I absolutely enjoyed it today. Of course, hats off to Fox, FS1, iRacing, who did this whole series week in and week out over the last several weeks, almost month and a half, I would say. So anyway, second lucky dog, absolutely no question. A lot of people are probably going to say this, is, of course, we're coming back racing, baby, next Sunday at Darlington in real life. I am so looking forward to it. First sport to come back since, obviously, the last sport to leave, the first sport to come back. Absolutely, I am so looking forward to watching the race next Sunday and getting some, racing back. And the last lucky dog, Lap Traffic Fantasy, coming back this week. Absolutely looking forward to making my picks. I've already made my picks, and I am absolutely looking forward to seeing how I do this upcoming weekend for Darlington. And I have no lap downs. So anyway, enjoy it. Good week, Brandon. Everybody out there, Lap Traffic Nation, stay healthy. And I will talk to you, of course, next weekend after the return of NASCAR at Darlington. So talk to you next.
Oh, Matt. I love the excitement. Thank you for calling in each and every week. Absolutely love it. And hell yeah to Lap Traffic Fantasy getting a lucky dog vote. I will take that. Absolutely awesome. All right, got one more for you guys. It's the voice of the Wave Around Hotline.
What's up, Brandon? Voice of the Wave Around Hotline. Phase 1 reopening racing camps coming in. Almost out of quarantine. Racing is back. I have nothing to say about iRacing because I don't care. We don't have to watch that nonsense. Real NASCAR is coming back on Sunday. I couldn't be any happier. Holy crap. I'm just so happy NASCAR is back. So much going on. A lot of just news pouring in the past couple days, whether teams making their cup debuts at Darlington, tracks might be closing down. They're not. We know they're not. I mean, why would NASCAR get rid of a race in Chicago when Chicago's the second or third largest city in the U.S.? I don't know. People would just like to say dumb things, I guess. Whatever. But I'm just happy that NASCAR is back. Darlington, can't wait to watch. Can't wait to call back in the Wave Rock Hotline. Who NASCAR?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, that is the excitement that you bring to the Wave Around Hotline, Andrew Cansian. Absolutely love it. I am so stoked. Man, it's an hour and 33 in. I was hoping to get this thing done in under 90, but when you've got Jeff Striegle, Aaron Studwell, Brian Neudorff, and myself going off and on here, it was a tall task to have. It's almost done. Got one more thing to do, and that is talk a little Lap Traffic Fantasy. Yes, I got a little intro music for the Fantasy League this week. And yes, it is time to bring the excitement. The Lap Traffic Fantasy is kicking back off this week. Make sure you get your picks submitted by midnight on Saturday. Send your picks to fantasylaptraffic@gmail.com or just reply to my reminder emails. Man, so excited. There are 10 weeks-ish to go. Who knows with segment 1 with the adjustments we're going to have to make here. But that said, it's time to recap the standings. Brad Carnes has been in first place for like 12 weeks now, it seems. He's coming in at first with 397. Jess Rosen second with 392. Nathan Singleton in third with 386. Matt Camper, you just heard him a couple minutes ago. He is in fourth with 385. Chad Robb is in fifth with 379. Greg Whited and Michael Elliott are tied for sixth with 375. Crystal Smoke in seventh with 374. Joe Houston is in eighth with 367. Toby Christie is in ninth with 362. And everyone's favorite, Mr. Mick Rose, wraps out the top 10 with 361. Oh, so excited. I think the standings are going to shake up. Don't forget to send your picks in. I will have, hopefully, a caller lined up next week. Whoever has week high will get to call in next week for their picks. We'll figure out how all that's going to work out with the split weeks and all that kind of stuff. But that said, it is time for my picks, which mean absolutely nothing. Yes, we are headed to Darlington, not for the Southern 500, but for the Darlington 400. And you guys heard Jeff Striegle talk about it at the start of the show. The last May race was won by Matt Kenseth back in 2013. There are some trends here that we can look at. Toyota has won 4 of the last 5 races at Darlington. The last Chevy to pick up a win was Kevin Harvick, who doesn't even run Chevy anymore. The last active Chevy winner, Jimmy Johnson back in 2012 and Regan Smith back in 2011. For their lone win over the last, over 10 years. Brad Keselowski picked up the win in 2018. The last 4 to win, you got to go all the way back to 2006 when Greg Biffle picked up the win there. It has definitely been a Toyota show at Darlington as of late. But, man, in my opinion, you can throw notebooks out the window for this one. I think this is going to be anybody's game. Let's get to my picks for the Cup race on Sunday. I tell you what, I was torn. Part of me was like, save the picks, let everyone get back in a groove before I start wasting picks here. But I'm going to stick with my gut, and I am going with Matt DiBenedetto on Sunday. I am going with last week's guest on the Lap Traffic podcast for the Xfinity race in Noah Gragson. And for the Wednesday Cup race, I'm going to change my mind from what I initially had written down. I was going to go with Jimmy Johnson, but I am going to go with Chase Elliott for the Wednesday race. All right, those are my picks. Don't forget to submit your picks and check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, if you got any questions there for all of the updated rules. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, that is going to do it for episode 182. I am sorry this thing went so long, but there was just so much to do, so much excitement. We're going back racing. Make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. Like on Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast. Follow on Twitter, @LapTrafficPC. Go follow on TikTok. Go subscribe on YouTube. Huge thanks to Jeff Striegle, Brian Neudorff, and Aaron Studwell. Cannot wait to talk to Alex Hayden next week. Go enjoy some racing this weekend. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Make sure you tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!